Hey, how are you? I'm Kevan Kenney. Welcome to a brand new episode of Billboard in Studio. Our guests today, I'm very excited to say, Baby Bash and Frankie J.
What up, what up?
Pleasure to be here.
What's
Pleasure to be
cracking?
here, dog.
It is
man.
a pleasure to have you
An
guys.
honor to have.
You just performed three
An
songs
honor to be
for
here.
us. Yeah.
Not to have, but an honor to be here.
But you performed 3 songs, 2 classics, by the way. A number 2
Thank
hit,
you.
Suga Suga, and then the number 1, Obsession, and then a
Yes.
new one from the record, actually track 1.
Candy Coated Dreamer.
Real
Got
though.
me lifted, shifted higher than the ceiling. And ooh, it's the ultimate feeling. You got me lifted, feeling so gifted. Sugar, how you get so fly. Sugar, 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 sugar.
And if you're watching right now and you're not familiar, new record's out right now. It's available everywhere. Sangria.
Just fell through. Sangria came out for a couple of days, and we're very proud
October
of it.
20th.
Very excited, and we're on the road. We're just working.
The record sounds
We're
amazing.
back.
We're going to get to the record. We're also going to talk about how you guys met. But first, I need to give credit where credit is due. Because if you're watching this right now, and let's say you're under the age of like 15, right? You weren't around for Suga Suga. You weren't around for Obsession. Long before you could slide into your crush's DMs or subtweet about them on Twitter, the move, you know what the power move was asking them to dance at the school dance.
Hey.
And I'm
Power
saying right
move.
now, I made that move many a time. There was no better
went to
artist
prom?
making music for that move.
That was the prom move.
That was the middle. That was before prom. That was the
let me tell
way
you
before
something.
prom.
What we get all the time is, oh man, I made my baby to your songs, or I had my first date to your song, and it's so crazy when they tell me that. It's like, wow, that's pretty nice for nostalgia for me to listen to from people.
Yeah, but the whole dance, you got when it was time for the slow dance, of course, you had Obsession, you know, Me and More, and then if you wanted to get a little freaky on the dance floor, you had Cyclone.
Hey, Cyclone. That was a strip club #1 song in 2008.
Yeah, man. Well, you know, we're talking on the topic of back in the day. How did you guys meet for the first time? Not make a song for the first time, but how did you
Right.
two meet for the first
We
time?
met in Houston in 1999.
Oh my God.
It's kind of
1999,
cool because we're both from California. We're both from the West Coast.
Okay.
And we both went to Texas to work on our careers, not knowing that we were going to meet along the way. And a very good friend of ours, mutual good friend of ours by the name of DJ Kane, Jason, actually introduced us. And we were always doing shows together because Bash was working a lot with South Park Mexican,
Yeah,
Dope House Records, and I was in a group on a boy band called the Cumbia Kings, which was made by A.B. Quintanilla and Cruz Martinez, and we were traveling.
A.B. is Selena's brother.
Selena's brother.
Selena, her brother, A.B. Quintanilla, did a group called Cumbia Kings, and
And
they
you were
used
in
to
that
smash.
group.
Yeah, he was the lead singer.
I
and they,
never knew that.
Oh yeah, that was
Right. I
and
was
in
a boy
Texas-
band. I was in a boy band. Yeah.
In Texas, back in the days, we would have rap shows and cumbia shows at the same time. So we'd all do shows together, and it'd be like, we'd do our show, the rap show, and then they would do the Spanish songs, and the crowd loved both. And we'd always say, we're gonna work together. We're gonna work together one day, and then finally it happened.
It's so funny looking back because that's really what you guys did. You took the vocals of, you know, somebody that could be in a boy band, and then you
Right.
took sort of the rap vibe that you would bring to tracks. And
That's
really
where the
cool.
sauce comes
Good
from.
observation.
Yeah, right?
Good
It's almost like I'm
observation.
listening up
I
here.
like that. Yeah, good observation. Yeah. And it's so crazy because we do shows and we're gonna work together one day, and their group would like rap, and then we would like the Spanish music. So it's
Yeah.
kind of funny. We're like fans of each other, and we finally got to work together, and it's great. We've been friends ever since.
Yeah.
So you meet in 1999. You start doing these shows together, as you've said, in Houston. When does Suga Suga, or when does the first? Because that was the first collab you ever did, right?
2003.
That was our first collaboration.
So how does that happen?
Prior to Suga Suga, I had a hit on the radio, which was a top 10 record on the rhythmic charts, top 20 on the pop charts, called "Don't Want to Try."
Yeah.
And this
I remember
was
it well.
How'd it go? Let me.
well.
How'd it
See,
go?
you
How'd
see
it
what
go?
had
A little bit.
happened
How'd it go?
was.
Let me hear it, Frankie. How'd it go?
Don't wanna try, don't wanna try, don't wanna try no more. You keep insisting when you know our love is out the door. Don't wanna try, cause all we do is fight and say the things that hurt so bad to where we both begin to cry. Something like that. But
Nice.
see what had
Round of
happened during
applause.
that time.
On the spot.
Thank you.
No auto-tune needed.
We
No
were
auto-tune
actually,
needed.
we were just talking about this a couple of days ago because I got fired from the boy band. I was let go because
way.
You're out of here.
I was always on point to everything. It just so
just how they
happened
did it
that
too, right?
one of the shows that we were doing, I was late to. And of course, they weren't happy about that, so I was let go. And so I said, you know what, I'm going back to Cali. And so I went back to San Diego. But before that, we have a mutual friend by the name of Edo Cañas who works at radio, and I had this song called "Don't Want to Try" that I had written and produced, and I just remember saying, well, I got nothing to do now. I'm just gonna have to go solo. So I went solo. I gave the song to Ed, and Ed started playing it in Corpus Christi, Texas, because that's where I lived. And it just caught fire, man, and they started moving, and it did very well for me. So prior to that, when I went to back to California, Bash and I were in contact, and Bash said, "I'm going to San Diego," or I think you said you were going to L.A. and
going
then
to L.A., San Diego to do some music. I was struggling, trying to come up with some music, and pockets was empty. You know what I'm saying? I was doing a lot of street stuff, and people were like, "You need to do some radio music. Do some radio music." And at first, I was like anti-radio.
You were doing hardcore music.
Fuck the radio. Trying to be. Then I'm thinking like, man, you know what? I do need to make a good song for the fly females. And then I went to San Diego, met up with Frankie. I'm in San Diego. He got a studio. He said, "Yeah, I got a studio."
It was actually a house, not a studio.
Yeah, a house studio.
It was a house.
We met in 1999, but he was under contract for so long, you know what I mean? So it took 2003, we finally got together and got to record.
Actually, we wrote it in 2002 in San Diego, in Chula Vista.
2002?
Jaime,
it came out in
Jaime's house.
2003.
Yes.
I think I had it
At
in my
the end
pocket
of
for like a year.
2003.
I think I had it in my pocket for like a year
Yeah.
before. Because I was still trying to be, I don't want to know about radio. It's too soft. You know what I mean? I was at that point in my,
You're debating
I was a youngster like, man, it's too soft. I don't want to be a soft rapper. And then my pockets are broke. I'm like, man, you know what I'm saying? Maybe this will work. And it ended up working. And then we ended up doing like 3 or 4 songs together.
Yeah.
And then once we did Suga Suga, then Obsession followed up.
And Obsession was his record. Obsession was actually for Bash.
Yeah, it was
no
for
way.
me, yeah.
Bash did a feature for another group in Germany. You went to Germany,
yeah.
and he did a first feature with this group.
Yeah, yeah.
But because our management had such a great relationship with the CEOs at that time with Universal, he asked them, well, why don't we give this to Frankie, but have Bash on it and have another Suga Suga?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened.
And it went even higher on the
It
chart.
And
went
not
higher.
knowing
Suga,
that Suga Suga and Obsession would be probably one of our biggest records in our career.
People always, number 1 was Obsession, number 2 was Suga Suga. I mean, throughout my career, I've had a number 9. I'm Back with Akon. Cyclone was in the top 10. So I've had we've had multiple top 10 songs.
Right.
You guys are hit makers.
Yeah. So,
Thank you.
and ever since then, it's just been we've been on the road nonstop. I've been on tour for what year we in now?
We've been on tour
2017.
nonstop.
We've been on tour for 15 years.
Yeah,
Nonstop.
we've never. What's
never
amazing is that we've never stopped. We've always worked. We've always continued to go out there and perform in front of these big crowds, even small crowds, whatever. As long as we're out there in front of the fans, we've just been very fortunate to keep our stability with our careers, and it's been amazing. It's been an amazing thing to see. I mean, the fans are so loyal, man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
loyal.
loyal fans. And,
Thanks to the fans. Yeah.
Like I said, our music is a recipe of just candy-coated, fly, seductive, good music. You know what I mean? We're not going to just be up there and be ignorant and dumb, dumb. It's just some real meaningful lyrics and hooks and
We put
prequels.
our heart and soul into it, man. We don't just try to do something just to see if it sticks or if it's going to resonate. We do it because we love it. And, we've always been working together, and every time that we get in the studio, there's always a certain vibe, a certain chemistry. We don't step on each other's toes. We allow each other to brainstorm on concepts, lyrics, melodies. Like even Bash, he's not a singer, but he can come up with some really crazy melodies.
Yeah.
And
like
and
melodies.
really and go and sing. If you realize if you hear Suga Suga, that's him in the background singing
I'm not really
on his
too much.
verses.
Back
Yeah, I'm not really a good singer, but I know what I like to hear, and I'm an ear producer, and I know what I like, and you know what I mean. So, like I said, together it's unstoppable, and I'm so happy this album came together finally, and we're very proud of it.
I'm glad you bring up the album because the album is fantastic. Again, it's out everywhere and now. I think we premiered over at Vibe. Our neighbors at Vibe premiered the single "Body O Body."
What up,
with
Vibe?
Cap
Body O
G.
Body featuring Cap G and Paula Deanda.
Yeah.
Paula
How-
Deanda is another beautiful voice in the
Beautiful
game.
voice.
Beautiful
I wanted to
voice.
ask about her.
Another underrated
Well,
artist.
I met
right
Paula
there.
when she was 15 years old.
I met her when she was 12.
You did? Oh, wow. Edo
Back in the days, man.
called me one time and said, I got this girl. She just sang the national anthem at this baseball game. I need you to write a song for her. She could sing. So I went to Corpus Christi, and I wrote a song called Baby, Am I Doing Too Much? Doing Too Much. So I wrote it for her. Next thing you know, she had a record deal. I'm like, what the freezy? And that's all it took. And she took off, and she had a bunch of top 10 hits. And we stayed in touch and stayed in contact. She was happy to get on the Sangria album. And I think me, Frankie, her, and then we recruited Cap G, in the game. I think we make a great stable of Mexican Americans doing a great song, whether it be R&B, whether it be hip hop, whatever you call it. It's just great music.
How'd you guys cross paths with Cap G? Because it's funny, you can't see it at home, but we have an Outcast poster right here. Big Boy is like family with Cap G. He loves Cap G.
Yeah, he's from Atlanta. Yeah, I've known Cap.
Atlanta.
You know, Cap reached out to me. You know, he gave me some respect. You know, man, what up, OG? You know what I'm saying? Just give me some love. You know, man, proud of you for knocking down doors for the Mexican Americans. And I said, man, I'm proud of you. Keep coming up. Let's do a song together. And we hooked it up like a tow truck. You know what I'm saying? We hooked it up like a tow truck. And,
I love these, man, these catchphrases.
I had actually worked with Cap on another record. It wasn't mine. It was a record that was for a group called Playing Skills, and it was signed to Universal.
How did that
go? Si una vez dije que te amaba, hoy me arrepiento. Anyway,
So good.
and
Drop of a hat, he'll sing it.
it's crazy.
and it was a cool combination for us because you know, we were trying to figure out who to put on a feature, and you know, Cap's name came about, and he ended up featuring on this record, and that's the first, you know, time that I had ever met Cap. And then we did a big show out there in San Antonio, met him in person, and was a really, really cool cat. And the same thing, you know, that he said to Bash. It was like, man, you know, much love and, you know, big respect to you. And you know, we just connected. It was a cool connection. And I didn't know, to be honest with you, I had no idea that he was actually featured on Body Your Body, because Bash had the track with Cap already on it.
secret.
So when
Yeah,
I heard it, I
I
was like,
kept it on.
yo, this is cool.
Yeah, it all just fell right into place. You know, good music, good ears, good taste in music. Good taste in music is very attractive. Let me tell you, females out there, good taste in music makes you a lot more attractive also.
Word of the wise.
Hey.
I wanted to talk to you, Frankie, about some words that you had in your Vibe interview with Mikey Fresh, talking about this sort of super outdated notion that still exists, unfortunately, in the world of music, that somehow American music and Mexican music have to be different or have to be separated, and sort of what you two have been able to fuse together and make this great album, In Song
Fuse, I love that word. Let me tell you something real quick. Clive Davis, I signed to Clive Davis when I did Cyclone. And shout out to my boy Clive Davis. We love you, brother. We love you. But it's so funny because back in the day, he asked me, Bash, you know, because I'm not really over the top hip hop. I don't try to be hard against, but I'm not corny either. I can't be a corny cat either. So he always asked me, Bash, what can we call your style of music? And I said, man, it's like a fusion. And he goes, you don't want to say that type of word in the music industry. This was back in 2007. So I said, are you sure? I think it's a good word. But he was like, no, you don't want to do that. Fast forward 2017, it's a great word.
Yeah.
Fusion, because music is great music no matter what it is.
So Frankie, speak to that point really quick. That
What did I say with my French?
you know, you're speaking about how, you know, there is this idea that somehow Mexican music is different than American music, but you guys have, as Baby just pointed out, you know, brought that together and have throughout your entire career. If we're looking back.
Well, I think I want to remember what I said. I might have said something to the point where, you know, when it comes to Mexican music, you have to. It's kind of hard, you know, with our culture, because if you don't speak Spanish, it's almost like why would you even want to do anything in Spanish, you know? But when you're raised in the States, I mean, you're kind of forced to learn English and be do the English stuff, you know. But luckily with my parents, they kept me, you know, speaking Spanish, you know, since we were kids. I have an older brother, older sister, and a younger sister, so we always spoke Spanish around the house. So it never left me. So, you know, back with what Bash was saying, I think it's a great way to, you know, represent who we are. And expose some of these, you know, Spanish words in our music, and do the fusion with English and Spanish, because it best represents who we are.
Yeah.
You know, but it's tough, man.
It's tough for a Mexican American. You know, let me break it down. Let me give you all the truth in case you don't know.
Do it, Bash.
So when we signed to major labels and they come from New York, maybe, you know, the major labels are in New York, they would say, hey, you're Latino. Let's do that. You know, they just, you know, I didn't listen to Spanish. I grew up to old hip hop and you know, English music. Like we listen
Same
to
here.
soul.
Yeah.
We listen to soul. We didn't grow up to reggaeton or Spanish music. But these labels that don't really know the Mexican American culture, they'll just put it all in one group. Oh, they're Latino, so let's throw them in the reggaeton samba, and we're like, no, that's not what we are. We're English. We're American.
Much respect to reggaeton. Reggaeton
much
is
respect.
amazing, you know.
But that's not what we do. But
Yeah.
but I think sometimes hey, they're Mexican, they must be doing Spanish music. You know what I mean? I think that's been our pigeonhole throughout our whole career. Like
Yeah.
our whole career has been like that, and we've been fighting. That's why there's not too many Mexican American artists that are big in mainstream. You know, they've been trying to find a new Frankie J and Baby Bash for 10 years. They ain't found one yet.
It's
You
not
know what I'm
happening.
saying?
It's not happening.
So I just don't want people to be, you know, realize that it's just because we're Mexican American don't mean, you know, we're not doing Mexican Revolution music or Spanish music. We're doing
Right.
some fly music, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I've had black and white people like, oh, I used to like Baby Bash until I found out he was Mexican. I'm like, what?
Oh, that's
Why?
crazy.
You know what I mean? So we just don't want to get pigeonholed, you know,
No.
basically.
And you've never been, and that's to your credit. Is
Yeah.
you make music.
We've
for the
always been
world.
ourselves, man. We've always been who we are, and what we best represent is, you know, Mexican American living in the States and doing English and Spanish music, and, you know, putting some of the fusions that we always do. You know, we put Spanish and English together, and that's just, you know, you have to be original, you have to be organic, you have to be real.
Don't
and that's
panic,
how you,
it's
that's how you come
organic.
across well with your audience and with your fan base. I think that's a beautiful part of being who we are, you know, as artists.
Before we get out of here, we let you guys go. I do want to bring up the track listing for you at home if you aren't familiar with it, and really highlight this body of work that you guys did, because I'm not just saying this because you're here. It's a great album, and you need to go out of your
Thank
way
you.
if you haven't heard it already. But the creation of this album, the recording process of it is really fascinating to me, because I think one of you said in the interview that some songs are, I mean, maybe as old as the early 2000s, others
2011.
new. Some are updated versions. So I
Yes.
thought, with the track listing up on screen right now, what is the oldest song on this
Was it
record?
Butterfly Kisses?
Butterfly Kisses is probably like 6 or 7 years, 8 years old.
Okay.
Because we did it. You know, we have a lot of songs that we'll do and we're almost finished, but we're like, it needs one more touch and we can't figure it out yet, so it just sits there.
Yeah.
And then finally, 5 years later, man, I got the touch, and we'll go get that song, we'll revisit it, and then we put it out. So a lot of them songs, we just built up bodies, and it's like a big lowrider car. We got the engine, we got the interior, we got the
candy
tires,
paint.
the candy paint. But now we just need some rims, you know what I mean? Then we
Yeah.
put the rims on it, or the stereo, and now we got it. Now it's a full song, and that's how we do our recipes. So
Which, by the way, we did Lowrider. We did a remake of Lowrider from War, and we just kind of sprinkled it with our fusion, and you know,
that song.
involving Osomatli, who is another big
Osomatli is
Mexican American
dope.
cumbia band that does hip hop, does you know, English music, Spanish music.
shout out to Frost,
Kid Frost is involved, Sekan is involved, and we just, yeah, man. I mean, we just love doing these kinds of
Yeah.
records and kinds of fusions where we mix it up. And
We keep it real groovy, real fly. Then we sprinkle some Spanglish on there, you know, with some fly words
It's
of
like cooking a
Spanglish.
meal. It's prepping a meal.
Oh
right?
man, nothing like a good meal,
Make
man.
sure you have some-
I got the munchies right now.
make sure you have a good dinner.
Guys, thanks so much for your time.
Hey, great job,
Thanks
brother.
for
Again,
having
the
us.
album, Sangria, it's available everywhere. Go out of your way to check it out. Baby Bash, Frankie J.
Yee.